Yes, guys, welcome back to the WM32 podcast. This week I'm joined again by Wesley. I was going to wear all black because today is quite a sad day in the McGrath household. Your mum's fuming, your dad's probably fuming, and Wesley isn't happy either. Poch left last night. How do you feel?
Well, Gaffer's gone, like you say, last night. At the time it was more, well, it was a strange one because I didn't really know straight away. So I was actually coaching. I was coaching last night, and I felt my phone going absolutely mental in my pocket, and
Sorry
it's
about
like, what I'm thinking, what's going? I thought it was a group chat just going absolutely mental, just talking a load of rubbish, and then I'm putting some equipment away, and the other coach that I was working with, he was like, "Oh, I hope you're not like checking the news and all this kind of thing." And I was like, "No, why?" And he said, "Oh, Poch has been sacked." And I was like, "What?" So yeah, initially it was a feeling of it was shock because I didn't think it would happen mid-season. I certainly didn't think it would happen now. Given the fact that it is coming towards the end of the international break, I would have felt that if they'd have made the change, it would have been earlier or last week, because then it at least gives the new manager, who we know who that is now, it's Mourinho. It'll give him a lot of a bit more time at least to work with some of the players and implement what he wants. But all I can say is for Pochettino, thank you so much for making it bearable to be a Spurs fan, because it wasn't bearable for the majority. Like, it hasn't been bearable for the majority of my life. Right, I'm 24, and being a Spurs fan has been horrendously bad for the majority of it. We've always been that club that when I was growing up, I was getting all the banter, all the abuse from Arsenal, United, Chelsea fans, because we were a club that would finish 16th and up, just about upwards, and finishing lower mid-table, and you're going, right, okay, that's it, that's that done. Let's try and push for top 10 next season, shall we? And maybe have a bit of a cup run. And what Pochettino inherited at the football club, a lot of massive egos, didn't particularly want to be there, everything like that. He changed everything at the football club, everything, right the way from him, right the way through into the academy. All the other staff members that are behind the scenes at Spurs, he changed absolutely everything. He changed the mentality there, and I think I was saying to my dad last night, and somebody and a few people that were messaging me, and I was going, well, the only thing that you can really criticise him for is not winning a trophy.
Yeah.
But then you could label that same criticism at Harry, AVB, Sherwood, Martin Yole, Glenn Hoddle. I could the list could go on and on and on from my lifetime, especially of those that haven't won a trophy as Tottenham manager. But he changed everything, and I was at the training ground a couple of weeks ago, and speaking to the guys there, it just felt like he had created a family at Spurs, and that the people working there wanted to be there, not only because it's a job for them, but he created that culture and environment of it's a job, but they don't see it as work, and it just felt like they all wanted to strive together, and it felt like he was the person that had brought everybody together, and it was a collective thing. And the games that we had, especially in the Champions League last season, the City game was mental, the Ajax semi-final was mental. Taking us to a Champions League final, no other manager has done that.
No other manager for your club will probably do that in the foreseeable future as well, like with that squad.
But yeah, it's what he done for the club in terms of changing that mentality of, right, well, because we were in and around sort of 5th, and that was probably our mark, and he went, no, actually we can be not only consistently finishing in the top 4 under him, which we've done, but we were challenging to win the Premier League. And again, that's a massive mentality shift, and made everybody believe that we were onto it, and we were close, but we just wasn't quite there. And, you know, again, like I say, I was at the training ground, and from a recruitment perspective, you could see the difference and the shift from, you know, those in the academy. They were looking at, you know, just producing players to begin with that would play League 2, League 1, Championship, maybe in the Premier League, to actually now in the academy we have to produce players that are capable of winning Premier League and Champions League. Before, the club didn't know what that was like. Now they have an understanding of what that looks like. So that's come from him and him only.
Moving on from Poch, you probably got, I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible, the worst possible man for the job in terms of himself. As a manager, he might get you a trophy. He might. Because we all know what he's like. Decent first season, he's going to have half a season now. Good second season where he probably wins something. Third season, it all blows up. And it's been the same, and like you saw it, United, he said finishing second is his biggest achievement, but also you look at what the club stands for, what all the fans want from the club, and what the board have always said they wanted from the club, and they've gone and got the only person I can think of that doesn't represent any of the values that your club holds.
I'm a bit split with this decision to bring in Mourinho. The pros of bringing Mourinho in is he's going to get us over the line in terms of winning something, but then saying that to win something is harder than ever. When Mourinho first come in 15 years ago, he had United and Arsenal realistically to compete against. He's now got a Man City, he's got Liverpool, he's got United, he's got Arsenal, and he's got Chelsea. So he's got 5 other clubs
there as well.
Well, yeah,
because
but
if you see
in terms of the big
yeah.
6, he's got obviously 5 other clubs now that he has to compete with. But yeah, he knows how to win. He will do what it takes to win. And I think, as I mentioned, that's the only thing we can sort of level at Poch is that he didn't. I don't know if it was him or the team or the players, but we didn't have that know-how to just get over the line. And I look at, you know, the couple of games that we've had in the League Cup, you know, almost like the semi-finals that we've had, you know, last season against Chelsea especially. You know, the FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea, done more than enough to win that game, but ended up losing quite convincingly in the end. The Champions League final was won. Liverpool didn't play that great, although the game management was outstanding. They didn't play that great. And it was, you know, we were getting to that quarter semi-final stage, and Mourinho will get us into finals more often than not. However, the cons of bringing in Jose Mourinho is 3-year max cycle at a football club, an age and recruitment strategy in terms of who he likes to bring in, you know, he likes the finished product.
I'm looking forward to your midfield pivot being Matic and Eric Dyer for the next 3 years.
Oh, I hope not. Tangai's got to get a look in somehow. But we've got an agent. We're gonna have an agent recruitment strategy now. Playing style is gonna be an interesting one because I think under Poch we had almost a defined way of playing in terms of goal kicks. We'd set up to play out from the back. We'd look to press high up the pitch. We had a lot of energy, although towards the end we didn't really see that.
I wouldn't level that at Poch. I'd level that more at the players and how they were feeling at the club at the time. Because you look, Eriksen's down tools completely, and I don't even think he'll play much under Mourinho because he still doesn't want to be there. Alderweireld and Vertonghen have forgotten how to defend.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Rose is 29 and has never been a good defensive player anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Ori has a walking yellow card, which I didn't realise till yesterday. 1 red card in his last 48 games. Like, that's actually outrageous. And Lloris has been a calamity for the last 4 years. And those are big players. That's a whole back 4.
However,
in there as well.
Mourinho will call players out if they're not performing. We've seen it before. We saw it at United time and time again. Is that what the players need? Potentially. I think Poch was one to defend them and whatnot, whereas I think Mourinho will, like I say, out them a little bit and go, listen, you're not playing good enough, you're not playing well enough, sort it out.
It can also, we've seen it work in a different way where a player's completely closed down and gone.
Yeah, true, but I don't know now.
And has like a player like Harry Winks got that backbone to stand up and go, I want to be counted? We think Dele will, because Dele's...
Harry Winks will. Harry Winks is Tottenham. He's a Tottenham fan first and foremost. So
But if he starts getting slated in the press by his manager, then the press starts saying him, and the fans get on his back.
Listen, Harry Winks is getting slated by the fans now. Yeah. Because they don't understand what he does. What Harry Winks does is he keeps the ball. It's as simple as that. We went through a spell towards the end of the season, last season, for about 6 to 8 games. He didn't play and we couldn't string 3 passes together. We were playing the likes of Huddersfield at home and struggling to keep the ball. Huddersfield were dead and buried when we were playing them at home. Harry Winks and playing for England and putting in the performances that he did, he was outstanding.
Yeah, I saw every single one of your posts about him scoring.
But he's just an underrated.
He is a very good player. But you're going to have that where certain players are going to get called out, and it will rather be, okay, I need to step up and prove myself, or it's going to be, well, I've never had this before, I don't know how to deal with it, what do I do?
That's down to the players then to deal with it.
I said to you last season, if you hadn't finished top 4, I thought Poch would have gone. Poch should have gone after the Champions League final because there was no higher place he could have taken Spurs.
If we'd have won it, he'd have gone. I do think us losing that Champions League final, it was almost that, I don't know if the players then went, it's probably as good as it's going to get. You know, the manager's coming on to us all the time, and we've not spent any money. You know, we've somehow managed to get to a Champions League final, still lost, still haven't won anything, and you know it's then hard to pick yourselves up and go again and hear that manager go and try and get the best out of you when in theory you sort of know it's not going to get much better than that. And I'm just speculating, but I think that could have been what has happened. How we've got some players still at the football club, I don't know, but then people are saying it's the players' fault. You know, get rid of the players that don't want to be here. You can only get rid of players if someone comes in for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ericsson coming out saying he wants a new challenge, but no one come in for him in the summer, so we can't out him. We can't just bin him off because he's too important for us to bin off.
Yeah.
There's only 2 clubs in the Premier League that can afford to bin players off, and that's Chelsea and Man City. The rest of the Premier League can't afford to do it. You can't bin off Alderweireld and Vertonghen because they're not playing well, because we don't have that level of player that can step in and go and be just as good.
This has been your problem, and I said it to you when you had that season when you didn't sign anyone for 18 months?
It was one season. One season.
Where you didn't sign anyone, not even backup players, like rotation players, and everyone was going, oh, this is going to hurt you in the future. And I pulled it up with you and I was like, this could get a bit sticky for you. Now you're looking at that point where you're going, if we'd signed a couple of young centre-backs then, now would they be coming into the point where you might not need Alderweireld and Vertonghen? You could say, with Davinson Sanchez, he doesn't look comfortable with back two.
When Sanchez first come in, fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I don't know what's happened over the summer, but he's looked shaky as anything. And I don't know if it's just the fact that he's fallen into a thing of he's just lost confidence. And and it looks like the whole team has just lost confidence as well. But, I mean, in terms of buying players at that time, who was realistic? Who was available? The answer for me is nobody. And you've got to look at it, you're going to spend a good chunk of money on any player. You know, everybody's going on about a backup striker for Harry Kane, so I'll take that as an example. So you want a decent backup striker. You're looking between 30 60 million for that. You're going to pay him however much he wants, whether that, going rate is about 100 grand a week.
Yeah.
So you're going to put him on that. You're going to put him on the contract length that he wants. So you're going to give him all the personal terms that he wants, image rights, the lot. Then you're going to have to say to him, oh, by the way, I know we've just signed you for between 45 million or whatever. Yeah, you want 100 grand a week on a 4-year contract, but we've got this guy called Harry Kane who's not bad.
Yeah.
You're not going to play every week.
I'm not saying like go out there and get like a ready-made player when people are saying it. I'm saying like a couple of 17, 18-year-olds 2 years ago that you.
But even they would have been expensive. Even they, clubs aren't stupid anymore.
You say that, but you look at what some clubs have done, like Arsenal picking up Guendouzi as a rotation midfielder for 6 million. Like, it isn't bad business. Where you could go in and have a little look. You're telling me that the Spurs scouting system isn't good enough to go and find a couple of 16, 17-year-olds
I think
for a few million.
The recruitment department, it would have had their lists and short lists of players. But this is where I think Poch didn't quite help himself, because in his first season he was head coach. Then he was meeting up with Fergie on a few different occasions, everything like that. Loads of links to United subsequently off the back of it. The meetings were about how do you build a football club and how do you build almost like a dynasty. So he then gets changed from head coach to manager. That stipulates to me that a head coach, you're working with the players you get given, almost, and a manager is you've got control, a bit more control over what goes on at the football club. But then Poch comes out and goes, well, I'm not in charge of transfers. Daniel Levy's in charge of transfers and the ones that come in. But then we don't have... Yeah, okay, in the Poch's time we had Paul Mitchell, who was our chief scout, responsible for bringing in the likes of Delhi and whatnot. But then all of a sudden he's gone and it's like, well, who's in charge now?
Yeah.
I still think Poch has the final say, because as well in January he was offered Yuri Tielemans.
Yeah.
Turned him down. Was offered Batshuayi. Turned him down. Turned Batshuayi down because he was on 165 grand a week.
Yeah, to be fair, I would have.
Palace ended up paying all of his wages when he went on loan there. So, yeah, there's been players that have been put to Pochettino that he turned down. Batshuayi would have improved us.
Yeah.
Different type of striker, and would have improved us. Tielemans would have improved us, 100%. And it's strange because we were linked with both in Pochettino's time. So when they become available again and you say no, you can't have been that convinced in the first place.
Yeah.
But the links were very, very strong, especially to Batshuayi. Tielemans at the time, he was a young up-and-coming midfielder in Anderlecht, 17, and you're going, 20 million, all right, go for it. All of a sudden his price has doubled come January last year, and you sort of say no, but if you still like the player, you go and get him.
Yeah. Because he would have, I'm telling you now, if he had the choice over Spurs or Leicester, I'm pretty sure he would have taken Spurs.
That's a question we'll never know the answer to, but yeah, so little things like that were very, very strange come the end of Poch's time. Listen, it's going to be interesting to see Mourinho working with Daniel Levy. Let me put it that way now, because Levy has a certain and a very strict way of working, and Mourinho goes against pretty much all of it, as you said. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait for the Amazon documentary to come out and reveal pretty much what, reveal all, really.
Yeah.
Mourinho's going to probably out not only the players but the chairman.
Yeah.
And go, he done it at United with Ed Woodward. Saying, I need bodies, I need players. I want Maguire, go get me Maguire. They didn't get him. All of a sudden Mourinho sacked, and then in the summer, United get Harry Maguire for 80 million. Tottenham are not going to spend. I'd find it very, very surprising if Tottenham go and spend 80 million pounds on a player.
I'll be surprised if they spend any money in January.
We have to. Else, what's the point of bringing Mourinho in?
Well, wasn't that one of the things that Poch was saying? We've got to work with the bodies we've got this season.
Again, Poch spoke about this rebuild and this painful rebuild. that's needed. And then you go, right, okay, so you see Ndombele come through the door and you're like, right, okay, one of the most coveted midfield players in Europe.
Should have gone to Madrid.
Do you know what I mean? So he's come in and we were all getting very, very excited. Lo Celso coming in, alright, it's a loan with options, obligation to buy or whatnot. But, he's come in, alright, had a bit of an in and out start, but when he has played, he's looked very, very good.
Yeah.
Clark, can see the line of thinking behind it. Young, exciting English winger. But then, we had a bid accepted for Dybala. Everybody was going mental, myself included, because he's the one that takes you to that next level. Bruno Fernandes.
Have done this podcast if you've got Dybala.
Bruno Fernandes, again, another one. Apparently, all things were said and done, and it was Sporting that blocked the move. So you're looking at that and you go, right, okay. Not saying we mean business, but you can see the lines of thinking there. I know Dybala and Fernandes didn't come, and we didn't shift the players that needed to be shifted because nobody wanted them. So, has Poch been unfairly treated? Potentially, yes, because he's not had the opportunity to fully get that rebuild done. However, people are saying he wasn't backed under Daniel Levy. In his 5.5 years, he broke the transfer record 4 times in that time period.
Yeah.
I think Son was if not a club record signing, was up there with one of our most expensive at 16, rising to 22.5 million. Looks a bargain now. Sissoko for 30 million was our club record signing at one point, and I was there going, oh my, what is this all about? But Sissoko has sort of come good, still not good enough. But
what should be an
good.
absolute tank under Mourinho?
Yeah, but he's now 30 years of age and has bagged himself a new 4-year contract. No wonder Danny Rose is kicking off.
Yeah.
And Sissoko's still not at the level that we require. You got Davinson Sanchez that come in, was a club record signing at one point, and then Ndombele. So, say he hasn't been back, there's a bit.
You've also got to look at some of the other signings like Lucas Moura coming in.
Yeah.
Of a class quality that, I personally would say, without Poch, none of those signings that you just mentioned, probably other than Sissoko, would have realistically been made.
Well, Lucas was a club decision, and Pochettino stated that after he emptied Old Trafford last season. Poch had come out and said, "I've got to thank the recruitment department for pushing to get that deal done," because Poch was a little bit unsure.
But by the way of me saying it wouldn't have happened without Poch, I mean, your club would not be in the position it's in without Poch.
Probably not. I don't think many fans realise that turnaround and that shift that Poch has managed to do in 5.5 years, because it's almost bordering on incredible, really, because we've been punching well above our weight, and these things do take time. You look at Fergie; it wasn't all champagne and roses from the.
I was going to say that. Like, you look at, I'm just going to use Arsenal as an example. The managers we had before Wenger were trash. We had Wenger, was great, fantastic. End of the time, started to get a bit sort of sour with the fans. The fans push for him out like some Spurs fans have done. Then we go and get Unai Emery, and then the fans are going, "Well, this is not what we wanted." And even some fans are going, "I'd rather have Wenger back." And you're sitting there going, "You can't have your cake and eat it," sort of thing. It might come to the point where in 2 years' time, when Mourinho's whole thing is blown up, and you're sitting there going, "Why did we get rid of Poch?"
Yeah, I was saying this to fans. We have to be careful what we wish for, because we'll end up like the other lot down the road. Alright, now, to that group, you've got your wish. Jose better deliver, because if not, you've got some serious questions to answer for.
Yeah.
But the thing that's got me the most about it is this is our first blip. Alright, it's probably over a sustained period. It's 11 months realistically. We've not won away. I think there was a mad stat when we played Everton that we've not won away since we beat Everton 6-2 at home to a team in the Premier League, because the last 2 away wins we got were Cardiff and Fulham, and they're no longer in the Premier League. So that's obviously not good enough, but I would have forgiven this season for the other good seasons that we've had. Yes, the Champions League run last season masked how bad we were in the league, but then, and yeah, that's a bonus, and ultimately the Premier League's the bread and butter, but like I say, you have to sort of give and
You're not
take
going to be a
bit.
side that wins the league anytime soon, realistically, with the likes of City and Liverpool above you, and the drop-off you've had this season. So bringing Mourinho in doesn't make sense to me.
I think the club now have made that statement of, we're getting, Mourinho's a serial winner, and as I mentioned, he's probably one that's going to get us over the line, but it's not going to be pretty. So, if I look at Mourinho's teams, so if I look at his first Chelsea team, that was boring to watch.
Every Mourinho team is boring to watch.
The Inter Milan team, parked about 3 double-deckers away at the new camp, and
the buses are already turning up.
Yeah,
at your training ground.
Yeah, they were probably there overnight. But if you look at it, it's alright. He won the treble at Inter, but the style of football isn't great. He went to Madrid.
Was hated at Madrid.
Was more obsessed with kicking Barcelona off the pitch than anything else.
And Casillas, and Ramos,
and Pepe.
Yeah.
Well. You're falling out with senior pros there. Comes back to England again. Chelsea, alright, they're winning things, but style of football's not great. United, I don't know. I mean, he inherited an absolute mess. The United fans weren't happy with the style of football there either, even when they were winning. So, to those that wanted Mourinho in, this is what you're going to get. You're not going to get.
Yeah, and
what do you want? Style over substance.
You lot will be crying in about 4 or 5 months when you're not in the top 4 at the end of the season, going, we're playing poor football and we're not in the Champions League. And then you've got to go, it was your fans that pushed it.
It's half the fan base. It was so torn, because a lot of people would go, right, look at how many defeats we've had in 2019. Not good enough. Poch has got to go. Other side of it is, well, look at what Poch has done. Look at how far he's taken us. Give him time. Don't be stupid to just make a knee-jerk reaction. Ultimately, the club have made the change. Wouldn't say it's give and take whether it's knee-jerk or not, but don't back him. Give him time. Then you've got the disparity with the chairman, because half want him out because they believe he's the problem, and half are going, well, no, look at what he's done, the infrastructure he's built. It's down to the players ultimately at the end. And then you've also got the disparity of the players, that half of them want to be here and half of them don't want to be here.
Well, that's the thing that I said to you literally when you picked me up this morning. I was there like, I don't blame Poch for this poor away form or bad run. Like, I didn't blame Wenger when it hit the fan at Arsenal. I blame the players that weren't performing to their level. Eriksen dropped off a cliff, as I've already said. Big players haven't done what they needed to do.
No, and I mean, okay, you lose 7-2 at home to Bayern. Is that a freak result or not? I don't know.
Let's face it, you were in that game all the way up until, what, the 70th minute?
Well, they scored, 3-4 in the space of 10 minutes, and it was like every shot they had went in.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're looking at it and you go in, Hugo's had no chance with any of those 7. Usually you go in, well, he could have saved 1 or 2. He had absolutely no chance with any of them. But that is a result that can get a manager the boot, if we're being ruthless here.
But
Brighton.
Also, I'm going to caveat that with this. You say away games haven't been great. You went to probably one of the toughest European away days in Red Star, where Liverpool, who went on to win the Champions League last year, went and lost. Barca struggled there in the past, and you beat them 4-0 quite convincingly.
You're clearly getting a result away at Red Star's not for everyone, but
so you say that whole we haven't been great at times, but then there's also you've gone and done something that other bigger clubs haven't done. So who do you give that praise to? Do you give that to the players or do you give that to Poch? Because as soon as you lose, it seems all the fingers are pointed at Poch. But when you do well, it's the players are doing great.
That particular performance and that result was almost, we thought, turned a corner, Tottenham 2.0 under Pochettino, here we come. Subsequently, that hasn't happened because we saw the fact that Eriksen didn't play. I think Vertonghen and Alderweireld didn't play. Danny Rose didn't play. So we're almost looking at it going, right, okay, well, and Aurier didn't play either. So, you know, no Wanyama, none of these. So you go in, right, okay, I can get used to this. You know, you had Sessegnon coming off the bench and things like that. So you're almost going, like I say, Tottenham 2.0 under Pochettino. Like, here we come, and it hasn't worked out. But if I look at the Brighton game in particular, pathetic.
Yeah.
And I said it a few weeks back when we had Joe on here as well. Pathetic. That's a performance that gets a manager sacked.
That was the players down in tools.
Yeah, 100%.
And from what has been said by the likes of Gaza on Sky this morning, that Mourinho's obviously been at games recently. He did the Legends game and was at the training ground a fair bit as well. So it looks like since that sort of period where the players down tools at Brighton, it'd almost been decided.
Oh, listen, this appointment's not been... Mourinho coming in has not been done in the last 12 hours, or however long it's been, let me tell you that right now. That would have been a decision that would have been made weeks, potentially months ago. I think I read somewhere on Twitter that after the Watford game, there was some discussions of that Mourinho would come in. But I think, you know, the fan base is now going to be torn because you've still got fans that love Pochettino, want him back already, and then you've got some that are going, right, this is what we want, Mourinho, let's get behind him, everything like that. So you're still going to have the disparity. I think Saturday away at West Ham is going to be interesting.
Biggest game of your season.
Well, it's their cup final. And
that could be a sticky one for you.
It always is. West Ham, home or away, always is because they could.
Think about
but
it.
West Ham, they could be horrendous, and I mean they're on a bad run at the minute. But they could be horrendous from, you know, like I say, they're on a bad run at the minute, and they could be horrendous for the rest of the season. If they beat us, their season's made, literally made. You do not understand. It's ridiculous, and yeah, it was an interesting game anyway. It's going to be even more interesting now because of the new manager syndrome, and actually, what are the fans going to be like?
If you win that game, it will show the players were the ones who got rid of Poch. In my view,
I don't think it will be that game. We've got a fairly favourable run of games coming up. I think the only ones that you sort of go very, very tricky, like I think we've got United, Chelsea, Bayern. Let's hope that the Bayern one isn't riding on anything and we can go and have a look at the Christmas markets. The Chelsea one at home is going to be interesting because the Chelsea fans still love Mourinho and they'll probably sing his name louder than the Spurs fans will. And United, he's just going back to United.
The crazy thing you say about that Bayern one is obviously since Bayern got rid of Niko Kovac, they spoke about Poch going there. Yeah. Imagine if Poch goes to Bayern, plays you lot, batters you lot, and walks away laughing. I can see the tears in your eyes already.
Yeah, cheers, son's crying, nice one. No, I think I don't see Poch going to Bayern personally. I think if he's going to go anywhere, it'll be Madrid and United, probably end of season. Well, if he does go to Bayern before we play them, he will probably get the best reception out of any manager probably since Martin Jol that he'll ever have. He will be the fans. You will hear the Spurs fans in the Allianz Arena singing his name.
What I personally want is Unai gone today, Poch in tomorrow.
I don't think that'll happen.
It won't happen, but I could just imagine your face.
It's football. It happens.
Yeah. I would like to apologise about sending you constant Neil Warnock memes last night, saying he was going to be your new manager.
This is what we could end, if we're not careful, we'll end up back there. Like I said earlier, finishing lower mid-table was a good season for Spurs not so long ago.
Yeah.
And had an okay-ish run in the cup, but that was it.
If you beat West Ham, it was a good season for you like that back then.
Not really, because West Ham were irrelevant.
So were you lot back then, and you might go back that way.
This is what I mean. If we'd have beaten Arsenal, our season was made at one point. It was crazy.
Let's face it, you lot thought a draw was going to stop us winning the league at one point, and the draw actually won us the league. Because I remember me and my dad were there, like the Spurs fans chanting, thinking they stopped us winning the league. All we needed was a point away at yours, and you lot going mental about it.
It was the fact you didn't win the game.
But we still won the league.
But you didn't win so it's like, alright, you got a positive result, but you didn't win.
Yeah.
But that, again,
that's
not so long ago.
Where you were.
Yeah.
Like, that's 15 years ago.
Listen, like, people are going on about, Levy, and he's been with us 19 years, 10 managers, 1 trophy. Majority of Levy's time, we've been absolutely toilet. Like, we've been horrendous. Yeah, we were signing Paul Konchesky on loan at one point.
Mate, just get Big Harry, Crouchy, Big Nico back, Jermaine, get the band back together.
I mean, there's one that shot himself in the foot when he was in the job, because again, we were on the cusp of doing something with Harry. Didn't do himself any favours by not saying that he was committed to Spurs because he wanted the England job, because the England job come about. And then we had a massive downturn in form where we should have finished third that year, finished fourth. Chelsea won the Champions League and we didn't get Champions League football.
I remember that. That's brilliant.
But yeah, I think Mourinho coming in, trophy could be pending. You never know. You never know in football, but we've got someone who knows how to win, knows what to do to get there. And it's just a bit gutting in the way that things ended for Pochettino, because I think I'm more, it's the man, not just the fact that he was coach, manager, anything like that. It's the person that he was.
You saw posts from Lineker saying you won't get better than him. Smithy from Sky Sports obviously met him a few times, saying the absolute gentleman that he was. Like, the people that knew him at Spurs, I've always said how classy he was. I think getting Mourinho in, you lose that when you went from sort of how we said the club was seen under Poch.
Yeah.
You're going to lose that whole identity.
Yeah, because we're not. Yeah, we've got a decent academy in terms of bringing players through. Got a few on loan at the minute that are doing absolute bits, but then that's League 2. So you expect that because they are Tottenham Hotspur players playing in League 2. But then Mourinho coming out and saying the academy is a reason, it was a draw for him for taking the job. I think Mourinho would have taken pretty much any job that was available.
Yeah.
Because it's
a crazy thing for him to say
work.
about the academy scene is he's got quite a poor track record of bringing academy players through.
We'll see. We'll see what. But is he going to have to go? Is he going to have to change what he does normally in order? Listen, if Mourinho wants to properly succeed at Tottenham, he's going to have to change a lot of what he's done.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's a Tottenham way of of playing or anything like that, and we do see it's just a different way of working. He's not going to be able to spend 300 million in the transfer market because it's not how we operate.
No. And you've still got a new stadium to finish paying off.
That'll get paid off.
Yeah.
We made 4 or 5 million from 2 NFL games.
Yeah.
So that's going to help. The women's game, big crowd there. Nearly 40,000 and all the stuff that
we painted it red for the day.
We won't talk about that one. But you should have, because Arsenal women are far superior than Tottenham women. But
it was a good game though. Saw you
I
there.
enjoyed that. I enjoyed that, to be fair.
Got to see one of my mates, Leah, absolutely rinsing your team.
Yeah, she was class, to be fair. But yeah, I think just a bit gutted with the way it's ended for the gaffer at Pochettino, and it almost he become almost like a role model. Personally, he almost became a role model in terms of that the demands. You could see the demands that he placed on players, and it's like, well, that's something that I resonated with and something that I wanted to take. When I step out and coach and things like that, and gave me a bit of a hunger to ultimately want to work at the football club one day, and I was hoping that it would be with him in charge. It's not going to be the case, but yeah, ultimately it didn't end well. I think his interviews, they were almost like a broken record sometimes when you need to be a bit different. You're hearing the same messages after defeats, saying that he was proud of the effort and everything like that from the players, when sometimes you're looking at it going, Gaffer, the boys were awful, were awful today. How you can praise the effort and the fight from the players, I don't know, and whatnot. So yeah, but I just loved his humbleness. It wasn't about me, which is what we're going to get with Mourinho. It was a collective thing with Poch. It would be Mourinho's got a task on his hands. Does he keep the good work that Pochettino's done and just take it on a bit, or is he going to go completely the other way and go, actually, that was good, but this is how I work, this is how we're going to do things, and it's my way or the highway. And yeah, like I said, I mean, it was a little bit like that under Poch sometimes, because you look at the Andros Townsend situation, it was like he had a row with a fitness coach, and then by January he was off. But yeah, I mean, we had some really, really good times under Pochettino. Obviously, last year at White Hart Lane going unbeaten, and everything like that. Played some unbelievable football, but it just seemed to go that little bit stale towards the end, and it was painful to see because of where he took us to. Like I say, he made it bearable to be a Spurs fan again, because we'd just come off the back of watching absolute dross for the best part of 2 years under AVB in Sherwood, and you're going, oh right, I'm going. Half the time you go into a Spurs game and you're there because the opposition's got a couple of players that you haven't seen before and that you want to see.
Yeah.
Now it was almost you're going to watch the players that we've got for a change, which was quite nice. You're seeing the likes of, you go into a game, it's like, oh, I'm going to see Harry Kane today, or I'm going to see Dele, Ericsson when he was on form. You're going to see Walker and Rose bombing down the flanks. You're going to see Moussa Dembele give any Spurs fan life, gliding past people for fun. You're going to see. So you had all of that, which was refreshing.
Yeah.
Not every transfer worked for Poch, but I think you could argue that at most managers. So yeah, we had the successes of a Dele and whatnot, but then for every one of those you get a Fazio, a Stambouli, a player like that, a Janssen, for example.
Then you got to look at the sides of you got Dele, Son, Mora, Tanguy.
Yeah, I mean, and Ndombele's going to be frightening. Like the bit you see glimpses of it at the minute, and he's obviously adjusting to life in the Premier League. But he's gonna give everybody life. Like, he's ridiculously good. But yeah, I think recruitment was
here and there.
Yeah,
but you get that every club.
I think so. But then if you look at, by and large, Klopp's recruitment at Liverpool has been spot on. Yeah. By and large. I mean, yeah, they've got Van Dijk, Alisson and whatnot, but then for that you get a Karius and a Ragnar Klavan.
And Lallana.
That wasn't a Klopp signing, that was a Rodgers signing. So yeah, it's one of those. But yeah, Mourinho's in. Buses are at the training grounds. Let's go. Let's go, because it's going to be one hell of a ride for sure.
Well, I promise this is going to be one of the last times we speak about Spurs this season, because I think it's going to kill you.
It might do. It might do.
Thanks for watching, guys. Please leave a like on the video. Leave a comment on what you think is going to happen to Spurs for the rest of the season and the next 3.5 years. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. Thanks.